As you guys know, I've been called a liar for a year. No, it's not about the fraud raiser issue. We've already proven that I was right the entire time about all that. There's still one more thing. The NDA, the RO. I came out and told you KJP entered in to an NDA that would extend the terms of the RO, but add a $5,000 clause for anyone that broke the terms, so that Katie wouldn't only be able to walk in and refile the RO if he kept harassing her, but she would get $5,000 per infraction. I was called a liar. I was called a shill for Katie. And the people out there, I've got proof of what they said the entire time so that I can show you who the real liars are, because now, right this second, right now, we're going to read KJP's NDA, and I'm going to show you what those people said to defend the harasser in the situation. Let's get started here. Names their names, goes over what happened, and says KJP applied and received an ex parte order granting the petition for the harassment restraining order. This means she got the RO. It is real. Remember on Augie's stream, I can't remember, but there were people yelling at me saying I was lying about this. Well, this proves that it's an RO. Also, the silverfish requested a hearing so he could walk in and say, that's not true and I don't deserve the RO. KJP is suing him for defamation on top of everything else. And prior to the HRO hearing, Silverfish was served with summons and complaint in the defamation case. They've reached an agreement, though, as follows. This is the NDA, what I'm about to read you. Here we go. KJP shall dismiss without prejudice the HRO proceeding. So that means there is one. It exists. The judge ruled that it was necessary due to the evidence. So he's lied to you the whole time. There was an RO. And if you want to hear him say that there wasn't one, you can go to Augie's stream or any of the other places that we've tweeted and showed you. I'll handle that in a minute too. But on top of that, we've got for a period of 1 year, unless otherwise extended in the defamation case against Silverfish, neither party should do any of the following. Directly, now here's what matters, because I also told you that it was indirectly through anyone else. And it says right here, indirectly through agents or representatives. They cannot contact the other party, so they can't contact them in any way. And they cannot comment, so they can't verbally comment, they can't type to comment on online profiles, pages, or channels. He can't talk about any of her stuff at all. They can't disparage the other party, and that is defined as speak of in a slighting or disrespectful way, or belittle, or reduce esteem, or I can't tell what that word is. Rank? Is it rank? Or publish a commentary regarding the other party would not necessarily be disparaging under the agreement. So, one of them won the lottery or something happened, somebody brings it up around them, they can say anything normal in response without violating. Though if they do anything else, if it goes above any means whatsoever that, then it would violate. The only exception is that KJP and Silverfish, at their discretion, published the following statement. It's the statement that they put on social media that I said was proof of the NDA, which is now proven to be proof of the NDA. And I'm not going to read it, but it also brings up and doxed Sherelle's world and released her name to the public. This is a public document. The other stuff is public documents. These are court documents. I'm not going to redact anything, but this is what happened back then. In the event that the party violates, now this is important because remember, in order to prove to you that I was, being real with you, I told you a condition in the NDA so that you knew that I had information relating to the details. The only people that knew what I'm about to tell you here and what you're about to read was me, her, and Silverfish. And it says, the non-violating party shall be entitled to liquidating damages from the violating party in the amount of $5,000 for each violation. So we can factually show you that he violated over 15 times. There's more than that out there. In fact, people have been sending Katie private DMs where he's instructing people to do things and lying about Katie. So now those are going to be added to it. Realistically speaking, there's at least 20 infractions. That's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. That's $100,000 she could go after him for, plus court cost and lawyer fees. So now I've shown you absolute proof that I gave you the scoop, the tea on the story, that I was right, that those of you that watch me knew the truth about this a year ago. But to take it a step further, I want to show you some of the things they all said to lie. Because they always like to go around and they like to say, that's for later. They always like to go around and say that they are very honest. Everybody else is liars. But these guys are constantly proven to be liars. They are always proven lying. So I wonder why they always go around trying to convince everybody of how honest they are and how much of liars everybody else is. Well, let's take a look at this. This person says, hey, hobo, how about saying KJ's name? You claim there's no agreement, so it would be really easy to prove me wrong. Until then, don't need to waste your time with proven liar. So he comes back and says, how about showing anything saying I can't? Well, the fact that you won't say it. This is called burden shifting. I've claimed there's nothing that prevents me from doing commentary about her or anyone else I want to do commentary about. So do you notice how he's trying to make it look like he doesn't have an NDA by taking the one thing in the NDA it says he can do, right? Now, he can't do commentary that's geared towards her in any slightly negative way. So unless he's going to do positive commentary on her, he can't do commentary. He'd never do positive commentary on her. Doesn't make sense, does it? Anyway, you don't have to believe me, as I have no onus to prove you anything. You made a claim and I don't believe you. Guess we're even. See how much of a liar he is? Why wouldn't he just come out and be honest here? I mean, he's the one trying to make everyone think he has no NDA. And I'll prove that in a minute. I'm going to show you where he said it and others in his cult said it. And all of this was said to where he should have corrected them because it was right where he was arguing and typing too, but we'll get there. Then he comes back and says, you have no evidence to present? Shocker, meet Hitchens Razor. Glad to help you understand a bit about supporting your claims. This is what a known liar does. Keep an eye out. This is how a pathological liar acts when trying to put out the impression of something to people so that he can lie to his inner cult and say, I don't have an RO and I don't have this going on, and then go out there and try to act like that. But at the same time, you never hear him being specific, never actually challenging what anyone says, right? I've not deleted a tweet. Where's your evidence for that? Oh, wait, you don't have evidence of either. Shocking. That's why you're a troll. All you got to do is go to Twitter. You didn't know that there's a thing called Twitter Social Blade and that we've proven that you've deleted a massive amount of tweets back then and up to now? I don't think this boomer knows about Social Blade for Twitter. Now, this is the guy who bankrolls the silverfish. It's his sugar daddy. Sugar daddy, silverfish cult leader Sugar Daddy says, I haven't heard KJ mention any secret agreement either. Either it doesn't exist or she's restrained from mentioning it as well. He knew she was restrained from mentioning it, but he's got to make sure he puts in that it doesn't exist in there too, because he's got his people around Steve are being told it doesn't exist. They know this. In fact, as time went on, they did admit this. You know, you can tag me, right? Wanting me to tag him for some reason when he could have come and talked on my show at any time and refused to. But then he wants me to engage with him on Twitter, even though he's avoiding coming on my show. Sure, buddy. There's no restraining order, temporary or otherwise. See how they lie? I just showed you. There was, by law, a restraining order from Katie restraining Steve. Factually, in front of your eyes, you just read it. And the law says it's there. The judge enacted it. It's there. Steve didn't fight it. Steve begged Katie by offering her $5,000 per infraction on top of continuing the RO to sign the NDA so that he could lie. He wanted the NDA so he could lie. Katie should have forced him to have it be a public agreement so that he couldn't lie. But then again, she knew it would expire in a year. And it would look even worse on him if he tried to make everyone think it didn't exist for a year. You got to be a pathological liar to have you and your friends have to be pathological liars too, to lie for an entire year like this. An entire year. And then when it comes out, I'll have a clip for you in just a moment showing you Cheshire. And she's sitting there trying to victim blame KJ, saying that KJ's not, you'll see. You'll see. Let's get through this. Is there some sort of secret agreement? Why hasn't KJP mentioned it? So he lies and says there's no RO. Now, why does he do that? Because if you call him on it, he's going to say, oh, no, when I said that, the RO had already been dismissed, so I was telling the truth. That's the kind of thing they do. Even though he knows that by saying there's no RO, temporary or otherwise, it was dismissed without prejudice, that he knows that the NDA continued the RO. He's one person out there who factually knew that. Now, I can show you how. In fact, I'll do it now. The proof? Well, if you didn't know, the sugar daddy of the silverfish cult leader accepts all of his mail and accepts all of his evidence. He accepts service for him. Look at this. No evidence? BS. He's not telling you. Dude, I literally have a copy of the evidence. I accepted service of it on his behalf. He gets service due to being the... What's it called? What is he? Somebody type it in the comments. He's like he's got the signature so that he takes care of all of Steb's legal matters. That's how creepy their relationship is, right? Lawyer, law, something. Damn it, it's right on the tip of my tongue. Rachel! She can't hear me. You guys know what I'm talking about. Like something, is where he gets all of his legal shit. He's in charge of his legal matters, right? And so he accepts service. So he must know about the NDA. He must know the details of the NDA because he takes care of Steve's legal stuff. Literally. Power of attorney. Woo! Just came to me. So there you go. So you do know the details of this NDA, and you are lying there, Mr. Ruhif. Ooh, damn. He just got owned. You've got idiots like this guy. All of this are incorrect. Dismissed without prejudice. Katie can refile is correct. I believe she would need new evidence. This is how dumb they are. They don't understand what without prejudice means and what with prejudice means. They're that dumb. They lied this hard, and they're this dumb. She dismissed the petition herself. Yeah, because he begged her to and entered into the NDA, which was a continuation of the RO. You just read it. You just saw it. If an agreement was reached with Steve, I cannot say. Steve has stated that there is no NDA. No hearing occurred. Hold on a minute. His friends are telling us the whole time he told them there is no NDA. Huh. Isn't it say in the NDA that he's not allowed to deny the existence? Yes, it does, actually. Well, let's go ahead and keep going. Where does he say there's a signed agreement? It was dismissed by joint agreement, which was as simple as KJP filing for it to be dismissed and Steve doing nothing. No. This is an absolute bold-faced lie. I just showed you the evidence. Steve had to agree to continue it in the NDA so that she could still have the benefit of him being restrained, but add more penalties to it to persuade her to allow it to be an NDA that continued the RO instead of a public RO. She was trying to help him out so that she could gain 5 Gs anytime he lied. I don't know why. If he doesn't have any money, why is that going to persuade you? Pretty dumb on KJP's part, and I told her that. Subsequently, the case is dismissed where both parties agree. If Steve didn't agree, he could have interfered. Exactly. He did agree because he didn't want anyone to know that he was RO'd. He didn't want anyone to be able to say that he walked in front of that judge and the judge kept the RO on him because Steve couldn't battle the evidence. The evidence was just the clips, the tweets, the doxings, the harassment that Steve levied against her. And because of that, he knew if he stood in front of that judge, no matter what his lawyer said, the judge was going to keep it going. That's why they approached Katie with the agreement. All Steve's lies, all of his bullshit about this, that is proof of harassment against Katie. It's proof of breaking the NDA. It's proof of him still, he's not allowed to defame and lie on Katie, and that's what he's doing by lying about this NDA. So even though he thinks he's good to lie now, he really isn't, and she definitely should refile. Menace, knowing the truth, just like I did, says it's an NDA, so Steb can't say, do, imply anything negative against her. Well, Menace was right. What Menace just said is literally inside of those papers of the NDA. So what he said wouldn't breach that. He is wrong about having to file with new evidence, though. It's dismissed without prejudice, so previous evidence is good. Exactly, Menace. Everything Menace said is factual down to the letter. Though, what does Glenn do? Glenn comes in against Menace, literally listing all factual things and says, tell us more about this alleged secret agreement that no one seems to confirm or deny the existence of. He types this because Glenn is a pathological liar. He wants to say things in a way so that once the year is up, and you like when the cult reads this, when the cult read this back then, they see Steve doesn't have an NDA and Glenn's making fun of Menace due to Menace saying it's there. Because Menace is wrong and Glenn's making fun of him for it. A year later, though, if you try to call Glenn on lying here, let's say he's on a live stream talking about, science denial, because that's what he likes to do. You pop in and you show this on the screen and ask him why he lied to the YouTube community for so long, knowingly and purposefully. He's going to say, that's not what that says. That says that it's an alleged secret agreement that no one seems to confirm or deny the existence of. All I talked about was people confirming and denying an existence of something. I wasn't saying that there was no NDA. I wasn't saying that Menace was wrong, when yes, you were. That's why you and Steve lie like you do. It's why you type like you do. You're ambiguous. You're not specific when it comes to the lies that you want the cult to believe, because they're too dumb and too biased, and they will assume, if you allow it in what you say, they'll assume it. And they did, by the way. They took this as evidence that there was no NDA, when it's not. I haven't. Katie filed paperwork with the court to dismiss it. Steve didn't object. In other words, he agreed, therefore no RO, and puts moron sandwich. Well, I'm glad you put the moron sandwich here, because this proves you are not only a liar, but a moron sandwich. Anyway, let's continue. I want to focus in on this again, because Menace makes a really good point here, but he wants you to think about it. Look, Steve says, this absolutely never happened, speaking of his threat to dox Estella, when we all know it happened. He says, nobody on my side knew about the NDA except me and my lawyer. Really? No one. Not Chesh, Reds, Doxxing, Golden Unicorn, Drunken Urinal Corn, and Ruhif. So I want you to eye in on the 5 people that he names. Those 5 people are provably, he's admitting, on his side. Also, if you look, it's in response to Estella saying, Laufenbaum might negotiate terms. I was certainly threatened by the McRae crowd when he learned I might have evidence he violated his legal agreement, because he did violate his legal agreement. If he was in the DMs or in a group with you and he was talking negatively about her, if he was telling people things to get them to go do things to her or tweet at her or anything whatsoever that you read in that NDA at the beginning of this video, then he violated that agreement by doing it with you. See, he thinks it has to be public for him to violate the agreement, but the agreement isn't about defamation. It's about harassment. And harassment is not just what you do publicly. It's also what you do behind the scenes and what you have other people do for you. Factually speaking, if you knew him, if you had heard him any time when that NDA was active, trying to get you to tweet at her, to post about her, to do anything that involved her whatsoever, it talked about her in a negative way, called her names, put her down, he violated that agreement. And if you have evidence of that and you care about doing the right thing, even if you don't like Katie, which I don't, you know that, but you should send it to her so she can get her 5 Gs for every time he did it. Though, those 5 people just happen to be the 5 people who we have evidence absolutely knew about this. Ruhif admits that he knows all of Steve's legal matters, being his executor. Drunken Urinal Corn admits in a clip on Menace to Sobriety's channel, and I might play it for you in a minute. I might not. I'll think about it. It's on Menace's channel. I just retweeted it on UNIRocktv Twitter. And you can listen to her admit that there is an agreement, the NDA, between Steve and Katie, and describe what it is. Also, Reds came out well before it was dismissed and admitted that it was there. So we know Reds knew. Doxxing's knew. And he's talked about it around his other friends and Reds. And Reds and Steve and Doxxing's hang out in Discord servers and talk every day. They've admitted that to me and others. And of course, Cheshire said things that led people to believe she knew, but also has to know, being someone who's right next to him, gets to talk to him every day, and witnesses everything he does with other people. Remember, she was his mouthpiece to read about the NDA and other things. So, I need you to understand, those 5 people are now absolute pathological provable liars. They lied for a year just to make their friend look a little bit better, involving an RO to restrain him due to his extreme behavior against her. He's a creep. He creeped on Katie. He got RO'd for it and had his friends lie to try to make it look like he didn't do it, factually. So, Cheshire's out on Twitter trying to continue FTFE's lies about me being a deadbeat dad. Well, I'd like for you to try to define what that is and think about the definition of it. Because look at this. Remember all of this? Menace says, remember when all of this was about Steve's daughter's financial future? You're stealing from my daughter, Kyle. That's a literal clip from Steve while he's virtue signaling and booming out live on his channel. Seems what Steb really wants is one outcome that won't help his daughter out at all. We knew it the whole time. This guy was just LARPing. And what is this? It says, Kyle and his friends, or titled Narcissist Enablers, I'm sure he will be very appreciative of them for all the support, love, and absolutely moronic bullshit they've given him to use to completely F himself when he's behind bars. For the attached tweet, a like equals additional day in jail for Kyle. A retweet is an additional week. So he's very desperate for likes and retweets. Ah, man, it didn't work, did it? Man, you're so desperate for those likes and retweets. Why didn't it work? 17 minutes and that's it? Only you hearting it? Only your own heart? Wow. But what is this in reference to? Let's take a look. Oh, by the way, yeah, whatever happened to non-sec, Kyle stealing from the daughter and all that? Let's see. I'll show you. I love this. This is such a good point. If it was really for his daughter, it makes it quite vile how much time, money, and effort has been put into going after Kyle to end up with nothing. Why not just stick all the case money into a savings account for her instead, and she'll get sod all after this win? Well, it's not a win. He's lying. It's him becoming a 50-50 with Kyle. And in business, if 2 people own a business 50-50 and one of them disagrees with what happens, all of us know that you will not get anything. They will have to dissolve the business in order to have anything come from the business, because neither side can agree. So they got to dissolve it so that each side can move on independently under new business names and new ventures, right? But this is a great point, and all of this is in reference to something he said. Because everybody's talking about a tweet that he just put out. If you recall the tweet where he said that he doesn't care about the channel, it's about blood. He's going after Kyle. Well, those are very vague statements to say it's about blood and it's about all this other stuff. This is a very specific statement. Negative says, I could be mistaken, but I thought it was about Kyle stealing from him. Oh, wait, I mean his daughter. No, that's not right. It was about justice for the subscribers. If I was the judge, I would hold Steve in contempt for misusing all of the court's time. Why does he say that? Because Steve lately has admitted in many different tweets and statements what you're about to see here. He says, I find it comical that dumbass, and of course, who's he referring to? Take a guess. That's right, UNIRock. You won. That dumbass thinks it's about the channel. The goal for me is to have Kyle in jail, then prison for as long as possible. Anything Kyle does going forward is just additional charges. Win-win. Why is this causing the community to discuss him saying this? Why is it such a big deal? Well, if you've ever heard of Sargon of Akkad's court case, he was sued by another person on YouTube. And when the judge found out that that person had gone to Twitter and tweeted that the court case was to try to get Sargon for his political views and other reasons for not liking him, the judge saw those tweets and used them as the basis to throw the case out. Why? Because you cannot misuse a court case for some personal vendetta. You're supposed to be going for justice for whatever was wronged. You're not supposed to go in there and create this giant lie just so that you can sue the guy. But this is an admission, literal admission. You just can't say it's anything but him stating straight out that it's not about the channel. He's not suing him for the channel. He's not going after him for the channel. He's admitting Kyle should get an RO just like KJP did. He's doing the same thing to Kyle that he did to KJP, just worse, all right? And he's saying, no, I don't want the channel. I didn't ever want the channel. I want Kyle in jail. I want to punish Kyle. A lot of people that have talked to him over a period of the last couple of years now realize that I was telling them the truth this entire time. And they know hashtag Uni was right. Because I tried to warn people that he was lying to them about having a spot on non-sec, because Steve knew the whole time that he wasn't going to get the channel and he was just trying to punish Kyle. Ruhif has made the same statements. He said that he was mad at Kyle because Kyle told Ruhif to fuck off long ago in the DMs and then blocked Ruhif. And that's why Ruhif is going after Kyle also. This is a vendetta from narcissists who cannot be stood up against. You can't tell them how it is. You can't correct them, because if you do any of those things, they're going to dox you, harass you, threaten you, and come at you. All Katie did was stand up to him and call him out for the scummy and dirty things he said to her. And regardless if she's doxes people, lies, is clickbaits, and does all the dumb stuff she does, you still can't treat another person like this. What are you if you treat another person that way? What are you? Well, you're the bad guy. You're evil. So if you're going to sit and say Katie's bad for doing this, this, and this, well, you got to say that this person's worse than Katie for doing what he does. And the people that are supporting him through doing this to Katie and Kyle and others are enabling it. They are making it happen, because without that support, he's not able to do it. Let's move on. And he has officially lost his mind, because the whole narrative about Kyle going to jail and prison has reached epic highs. The longer Kyle spends in jail, the more we can thank Uni and Nate. Make sure to remind me to have a shot for them while I'm on vacay for all they have done to help put Kyle in jail and prison. I'm sure at some point they'll take credit for it anyway. So what is he talking about? He's talking about Kyle having a warrant put out for him for being in contempt of court, because he didn't show up. Now, there's something interesting about this warrant. Steve tried to get a warrant for Kyle, but the judge didn't do it. The judge forced Steve to actually file an affidavit before he would allow this warrant to be put out. So essentially, the judge said, I'm not having a warrant for a man's arrest, which is essentially taking him, restricting him of his movement and his freedom, so restrict him of his constitutional rights to put him behind bars, because he's done something that validates that response from the government or from the authorities. So the judge isn't taking responsibility for doing this. The judge is putting responsibility on the affidavit from him. So basically, he came in and said, Your Honor, I attest that I'm telling the truth about my original affidavit in this case. I attest that I'm doing this for the right reasons, to get justice, to have him pulled in for justice. That tweet that I just showed you, combined with the fact that he had to talk the judge into pulling Kyle in. He had to swear in front of the judge that he was being honest and that all this stuff is accurate. Well, if you look at Steve's original affidavit in the non-sec case and read it to yourself, you can go back and find many clips from Steve and pals that debunk his affidavit. He says he always had a 50-50 with Kyle, but we have proof he didn't have a 50-50 with Kyle. We have proof that Kyle tried to get Steve to enter into an actual legal partnership with Steve, but Steve denied entering into it because of Medi-Cal. We all know what the truth is. We know that it wasn't really about Medi-Cal. Yes, Medi-Cal was affected, but the real reason? I'm not going to tell it to you yet. After Cheshire was saying that stuff about me and my kids, I should, because it does relate to Steve and his, the reason why he wouldn't sign the non-sec papers. But that's for the reveal in my final non-sec video. So, did Steve do the right thing by walking in and swearing to the judge in his affidavit that he could sue Kyle because he was a partner and because Kyle stole his money and screwed him over? No. You can go back to my first interview with Steve, or you can go back in the very beginning where Steve says he can't sue Kyle, where he admits that Kyle started the channel. Kyle's the one with the brand. Steve was the 3rd, 4th, or 5th interview for Non Sequitur for Kyle's show, and then met Kyle by being interviewed on Non Sec, and Steve joined along. Steve chose not to be a business partner. That's what not signing the contract with Kyle was. He chose not to have legal protection for whatever he was going to claim about his status in non-sec, and he did it because he didn't want the additional income to affect his disability and other things. This proves that this man has lied to this court, gone in and filed a false affidavit, and told people things that if you listen to the clips out there from early on, you can prove to yourself that what he told the court is not in line with what really happened. How do you know? Because what happened is recorded. And you can find a lot of the answers to any of these, a lot of these clips I'm talking about in my series, The Truth of Non-Sec, that will be the culmination of The Truth of Non-Sec to lead to my final video on the Non Sequitur show issue. So what's the major update to this stupid LOL suit where this man tries to get revenge? For one, he's trying to steal the YouTube channel, trying to get revenge against Kyle at the same time, punish Kyle by taking the channel, punish Kyle by taking his YouTube following, punish Kyle by getting his money, and punish Kyle by putting him in jail. The final result, the final issue, the final thing, the final update. The end point here is that when Steve was kicked off the channel after the women who he had spoken to inappropriately stood up to him, he was kicked off the channel and he wouldn't take it. He had to destroy Non-Sec if he couldn't be part of it. And that is what happened. There was a point in the very beginning of all this where Negative Exponents and I went to him and said, you've got the patrons, they've come over to your channel, you've got, you know, the support, you got people watching your show to try to help you, you've got other YouTubers that are trying to make up for the fact that your channel was stolen. So go to your channel now and give the people what you promised them. Give them the show, the new show, the continuation of Non-Sec, your side of it. Let Kyle have his, you run yours. He wouldn't do it. He screamed and yelled and cussed out Negative Exponents. Negative kept trying to tell him, do a show. Leave Kyle alone. It's over now. And Steve wouldn't listen. It's been years. It's been years. Don't act like Kyle is some real-life friend of Steve's. He's not. Steve is just continuing a harassment campaign against Kyle Curtis like he did with KJP because Kyle stood up to him and kicked him off the show because Steve deserved it. Let's take a look at this really quick. Steve is a harasser. He harassed a woman so badly, she sought legal relief. He harassed another YouTuber so badly, she sought legal relief and got it. So that's huge. When has a YouTuber ever RO'd another YouTuber that they've never met that live on the other side of the country? She, as in Katie, allowed the NDA, which he broke in DMs with Estella. The terms are that he owes her 5 G's if Stella proves it, so he threatened to dox Estella. So does he come back and deny this? Let's hear what he says. I've never threatened to dox her. Okay, sure. Sure you haven't, big guy. She's just making all this up. I never broke the NDA as it is about public comments, not private communications. He admits right here that he was doing something with Estella that would break the NDA in private communication. His claim is that the NDA only adheres to public things. How is that true? 99% of your harassment against her, according to the RO and the evidence Katie submitted, which was real and it was true, 99% of it didn't happen in public. You had it locked behind Facebook groups and other places. You know, Menace is right. He's admitting that he did break the NDA because he did something in private communication. I just showed you the NDA. It does not say that it has to be in public communication anywhere. Doesn't say that on it. So yes, he broke the NDA in his communication with Estella, or he would have just said he didn't. He didn't say he didn't do it. He said what I did with Estella in private doesn't apply because the NDA only applies to public situations. But you know that's not true. So Estella's right. And if he's going to lie about this part, what makes you think he's not lying about never threatening to dox her? And if Estella, which we now know, is telling the truth that this did happen in her DMs, why are we just going to believe that Estella is lying about him threatening to dox her? You see what I'm saying? This is what's gone on. This is the truth. He's running a harassment campaign. People like Cheshire and Drunken Unicorn are too dumb to be able to recognize it. They are too brainwashed. They are too sheeped out. They can't think on their own. They refuse to look at the evidence. And I'm going to, at the end of this video, make sure that you hear the same thing I've told them on Scope and Twitter. They're invited to come on my show. They're invited to sit live and allow me to interview them, show them the evidence that proves that they're supporting a harasser and that they're in a cult, and allow them to be able to debunk it in front of my entire audience. That is some kind of respect they've never offered me, because ever since I originally criticized them, mind you, after they begged me to criticize them for months, saying that they know Uni will criticize me. They know that Uni will step up. And after I did, they turned me into the enemy and have been ignoring me, defaming me, lying about me, and attacking me ever since. The difference between me and them is that I know a truth, and that's why I don't bother with, flipping out or suing them or anything. Even though I do have people coming to me offering to represent me for free against Cheshire and Steve in separate defamation and harassment lawsuits. I've turned them down, at least for right now. How do I prove that to you? The same people approached Nate, the lawyer, and several other people offering free representation to sue Cheshire and Steve. Though, one last time, I'm offering them the ability to come here and actually explain how they're not in a cult and tell us how these videos and the other pieces of evidence that prove that they are doxers and harassers aren't real. What is some of the evidence against them? Well, you knew I'd show it to you before this ended, right? One thing that Cheshire and the Silverfish cult like to try and deny is the fact that they've been recorded on live streams doxing people. I am going to actually break this down piece by piece before we leave. So, I've queued the video to the 1 minute and 14 second mark. I just shared the video on my Twitter if you want to watch the full thing. This part is just him telling people that he's tried to dox me for years, and saying that he did hear, and then once he gets to here, he says he thinks it was me, and blah, 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 blah. Okay. Now, here's what matters. Let's go through it line by line, piece by piece, so that they finally will understand this is what they did to Crafty. But we're actually going to start a little recording I'm doing on Crafty with this too, so take a listen.
It does show that it's most likely him.
So he says this is most likely him. Cheshire realizes, oh shit, this is a bad clip. This is a bad look. I need to change the subject. Now take a listen.
I mean, everything lines up perfectly clearly.
Listen to it again.
Is this for you? Is this fake? But, it really clearly does show that it's most likely him. I mean, everything lines up perfectly.
The
Failed attempt number 1 to change the subject.
the name is right. The birthday.
She's still talking, but she gets drowned out by pro-doxins. Now, so you've got him bringing up that he believes he's doxed me, and pro-doxins, listen to what pro-doxins says and break it down. He says the name is right, the birthday is right.
State is right. The town in a particular state in the Midwest is right. No, I'm not going to go into depth.
Now, this means he's looking at the thing the Fango is referencing. I'm going to break this down in the short version because I want to do a longer breakdown in Crafty Keela's, the one I'm doing on Keela. This proves, though, they're looking at something, right? He has sent this packet of information to Doxxing, Steb. Everybody on the panel has it. Doxxing is looking at it. Name is right. This is right. That is right. Now, here we go.
Just how much I know. Just know, Uni, you don't want to fuck with me.
Yes, I do. And I did. And I won.
There's two people with his name, and I don't know which one.
Now, Steve is looking at it and says, well, there's two people here with his name.
One was 36, one was 38.
One is 36, one is 38. You can hear Steve press his keys on his keyboard.
I have a question for Steve.
And Cheshire comes in to say, I have a question for Steve, and interrupts it, knowing, fuck, we're live and we're drunk. And obviously, Steve has not realized we're not just sitting in a Discord server doing what we normally do, what they did to Crafty, what they've done to me, what they've done to all the other people I can name, who I won't to save time. You see what I'm saying? This is absolute proof that they slipped up while live. Cheshire comes in and tries to change the subject several times and only really does probably when you noticed that she looks like she's doing something. I think she was DMing them or typing in the general room of whatever Discord they were in, like, shut up, we're live, did you forget? They're not, because they're not usually allowed to talk like this. So Cheshire's always changing the subject when they do something dumb like this. And as you heard, what Defengo is speaking about, Doxxing is looking at, and Steve is looking at a docs packet on me. Steve is saying one's 36, one's 38, and da-da-da-da. This is the absolute proof that this is what they do in Discord servers. This is what they did to Crafty. We had someone come out of their Discord and tell us that they talked about Crafty's private information for months. From back when Crafty was originally doxxed, I believe in February, all the way up until months and months later. Well, and before that too, right? Because what their discussions in that server led to Crafty's dox. So, I'm going to end this because it's getting long. And I'm not going to edit it or anything. I'm just going to upload it. And that's how I'm going to do some of these going forward so that I can actually get the content out. Throwing it in the editor is going to add hours to this. So it's coming to you straight as it is. Ignore any errors and ignore the rambling. We're going to go out on a very special clip that just got generated. Though, any questions, any comments, reach out to my mods. Leave it in the comment section below. Hit the like button. Make sure you share, subscribe, and I'll see you soon. We need to get this topic over with, because the end is very, very near. In fact, it's already here. Let's go.
You know what? The group's all here. Might as well get it started. We have the wonderful Cheshire.
This is what happens to your channel when you dox people constantly for years on YouTube. This right here.
Hello, Cheshire. She's all decked to the nines, too, for you guys tonight. Look at this.
Hello. This is not to the nines, but I appreciate the sentiment.
8.5. You're solid 8. We'll give you that.
you.